In 2001, a reconnaissance party from the Scientific Exploration Society went to the state of Meghalaya, which is in northeast India. And there we learned that these people who live in a very remote area indeed were desperate for an effective water supply system. They'd had one before, but the elephants had destroyed that as it went through the forest. So they wanted something that was simpler, that would not be destroyed. And they also needed medical and dental help, and indeed help in a great many ways. So we agreed to carry out this expedition and to help establish the water pump and the water system, and at the same time do a wildlife study, make sure there weren't too many elephants around stamping on the water pipes, and also to give them what medical and dental assistance we could. There were major obstacles to be overcome. There was no access road, and this place was in dense jungle. There was no airstrip, and the area has the highest rainfall in the world. Nearby, they record 500 inches a year. There were also armed insurgents who'd come across from Bhutan and Nepal, who were hiding out in this dense, uninhabited forest. And so this was just one or two of the problems that faced us. Now, the society worked for 2 years with the state officials to overcome these difficulties, and of course the police and conservationists helped. But finally, the local people built a jeep track some 26 miles long through this dense jungle, over rivers and so on, to get us in there. And then we could start the expedition. Through the generous sponsorship of the British charity Just a Drop, which provides water for people in developing countries, we were able to buy a solar-powered system. We got this in Shillong, the capital, and also some water engineers to help put it together, as well as our own people who had great many skills, of course. And we were able to take this into the village and install it at the bottom of a ravine. So in November 2003, the team was off. And this was the end of the monsoon, so it might have been pretty easy to get in, but some of the rivers had quite a lot of water in them. And we dispatched our expedition of 14 people with a wide variety of skills to Meghalaya. And this is the story of the expedition.
Trip up to Shillong.
After arriving at Guwahati Airport, after a long flight from Britain, the expedition drove up to the hill town of Shillong. This is the state capital of Meghalaya. And there we spent a day resting and recuperating, seeing the sights before setting out on the water body.
The point is that we have to expect the unexpected on this trip. And you all look pretty fit and game for it, so please bear with us if things go wrong. I have a saying, I've worked in the Northeast for 30 years, and the message I always say to the clients, tongue-in-cheek, but also to get a message across, nothing works in the Northeast. That makes it more exciting.
It's a very colonial spot. I think it's an old hill station. And we were sitting in the sun. It's our first morning here. We're going to Shillong to get supplies, get all the water pipes and everything for the plumbing project, and also.
Now the team took this opportunity, apart from exploring the historic town, to go and see a colourful market and also a most unique archery competition.
It's delicious. I'm trying to get someone to try one, but they won't.
All the way down. Sorted lights. Chicken.
Unloaded literally every conceivable part of the beast here.
Cooking all of the leaves. Beautiful stall. Market. We'll take some cues. We'll take a stop.
Line minute south. Line minute.
Yeah, no, just count it. Just count it.
You got here counting them into tens, is that right? 10? 10. And then they put them in. Good morning. It's 6:30. The afternoon's 5:30. This is a crew getting us ready to pick up country.
Do you want me to put it in my pockets for safe custody?
This is the plumbing.
Yes, he will. It's a wonderful
A
specimen.
wonderful pink tap. Isn't that marvellous? That's wonderful. On the road to Riangmaw and just stop for lunch.
Not now. Try it the day after tomorrow.
The blocking the road, there's a lorry waiting to
biscuits?
stop to the military police checkpoint. There's a little Christian cemetery in the distance over there, near Riangmaw. And this is the truck that's just arrived. It's got our water tank on it, and it's going to take all our baggage up to the village.
Climbing back into the truck. Hopefully for the last time. Our escort walking down the street in front of us.
journey to Riangmaw took 36 hours, and we were travelling along in ancient vehicles which broke down pretty frequently. The local people had made a track through the forest to enable us to get through with four-wheel jeeps, which had joined us a little later on, and also with lorries. These were old coal lorries. And these made slow and very difficult progress through this dense forest on this muddy track.
Truck was broken down and we camped by the side of the river, made a fire, got up a couple of tents, and just getting ourselves all nice and through.
It's downriver.
Magic.
The end of a camp.
Truck got stuck out of the river bed, and well and truly lodged in. The boys have been up since quite early, trying to put the steam to it, saying that they're going to do much good. Problem is, it's well and truly embedded there. Still using jungle technology.
One of the trucks carrying the equipment for the solar-powered water system was very heavy, and crossing a river it got bogged in and stuck. We were forced to camp overnight, and the next morning, having refreshed ourselves, we set to work to pull it out, but we hadn't got a tow rope. And what we had to do was to make a tow rope using twisted vines, and it worked really good.
He flies through the air.
Yay!
The mud-spattered convoy eventually arrived at Riangmaw, and there we were welcomed by some very beautiful and smiling Kasai girls. Apparently, indeed, some of the first colonists ago, the first missionaries, were very taken, and a lot of them married these girls. I can see why.
Hello, Martina. William will take your teeth out. You want to take it out. We have two dentists. John, Martina. And John is the water engineer.
We are only here for a very short time, so we can't produce any miracle cures in that time. To learn about the way you live and about the animals that live in the forest around you. And we hope, too, that we can do many things together in the few days that we have with you.
This is a present from the Dorchester School Prep School, and they're fascinated by the way it disappears. I think they think the picture's gone into the sky.
Spectacles, children's clothing, educational equipment were among the gifts that we gave in return to them. The villagers were very quick to overcome their fairly natural shyness because they hadn't seen any foreigners before in this rather remote area.
Now we are starting from this welcome song in Khasi.
This day shall go down in the history of Riangmaw village. We never thought, we never dreamed that you would be with us. With deep appreciation we receive the gifts you give for our good. When you return to your own homes, do pray for us.
You're coming to land in this village, it really makes this day a great memorable in the history of our village, Riangmaw. With pleasure and joyful heart for your presence in our midst, we the villagers, we wish you one and all a warm welcome to our village, Riangmaw.
The colourful welcome ceremony that we were given by the villagers included singing and dancing and music, and gave the team an opportunity to also try out some of the very strong local rice beer.
The rail.
It's not all go. No.
Chicken for supper.
Have you recipe
I'd imagine John organised it.
This group here of very nice traditional old houses made in a traditional manner. And they're raised off the ground usually, split bamboo walls and bamboo thatch for the roofing. And this house right on the edge of the village, and it looks out over a short plain, and then beyond that just a very short way the forest starts.
Everybody washing, putting up the cans. Perkin stoves. It's a very good meal. sewing machine. And all the best clothes. Martina's kitchen. At least 10 people.
Crafting.
A group of us been out today, and 2 others were pulled from a tree. The man shinned up the tree and pulled these down. You can see what it looks like on the tree, and then it's been stripped. And here you have the perfect loofah back scrubber. It's full of seeds. This has got to be washed, but wonderful. Then here we've got some medicinal plant brought back by William, and that is for stomachache. It's infused in cold water, I think, that one. Here, I think this is a remedy for dysentery, some sort of dysentery. Jungle gooseberries, which we know are very bitter, but it would be nice to make some sauce, some gooseberry sauce to go with the pork at the end of the week. And here we've got a root of turmeric, and that lovely colour there that we're used to seeing. That lovely.
Well, we're climbing down from his watchtower. I'm climbing up the ladder. House on top of the tree.
You were telling me the graves are made each year on November the 2nd.
Yes.
Why is this?
Because it is All Souls Day. We remember the dead persons.
All right. And you come and you visit the graveyard.
Yes.
And tidy it,
yeah.
make it good.
Yeah, we make prayers every 2nd of November.
All this area was cut and cleared by one man a year ago, and this is the first crop. Some of the most magnificent surroundings possible.
People of Riangmaw practice a form of slash and burn agriculture, and areas of the forest are cleared of the brush and undergrowth and then burnt. This may not be quite as destructive as it might sound, because the ash from this burning fertilizes the soil, and then this is planted with hill rice, vegetables and other crops.
To break the husk off the grain. Only to break the husk
this is just
off
sticky
the grain.
Just crop.
By this lady.
Yeah, better.
Planted amongst the rice a few tapioca plants. Ladies' fingers or blamies.
The villagers also keep pigs and chickens, but they no longer have any cattle.
The tree is eaten the vegetable. White pumpkin also grown at random in the fields.
Firewood is interesting, it's all black, because what they do is they slash and burn the forest, and then afterwards, as they clear the land to plant, any trees that are left they simply cut the saplings for firewood. So it's all been slightly pre-burnt. And most houses have got a small pig living outside. The local people here use a very basic slash and burn type of agriculture, and they cut and burn back the jungle in order to provide land for growing their rice and other crops. There's a field here being burnt very close to the village. Apparently they burn the land back, use it for 1 year only, and thereafter it has to stay fallow for 10 years before it can be used again.
Keeping the chickens in a new cage. Like buying a chicken.
Among the team, we had a doctor and 2 dentists who set to work soon after arriving at the village. A nutritional survey was also carried out, checking on the particular development of the children. A regular stream of patients came in every day for medical advice from our doctors and dentists, and the dentists soon found a great demand for their services. The villagers suffer from a number of tooth problems, largely because they will eat too much sugar. They don't clean their teeth as well as they should. But nevertheless, we tackled this and tried to encourage them to look after their teeth and clean them so they'd have better dental health in the future. Several of the villagers had very troublesome teeth, which we were also able to remove, but we couldn't unfortunately do as many fillings and things we liked, but we didn't have that sort of equipment. But this medical and dental treatment was very much a key part of the community aid that we gave to the village.
Weighing this little lad, we're going into swing on it. Strong as an old water of the head.
Jangan dipukul orang ada.
Just the magic. You've got a good bag.
Did he have any injury? Did he fall or did he...
The people brought water up to their village every day from the spring, which was right at the bottom of a deep ravine. And to do this, they had to use great big metal pots carried on their heads, which was pretty dangerous because it was a very slippery slope. And at the time, it required this tiring ascent every day for women and children to bring up these heavy pots. But by a triumph for logistics, the complete water system with tanks, pipes and pumps and solar panels was eventually transported to the site, and then with the skills of the 2 local engineers playing a big part, as well as the members of our team, we put together the whole system. And after 2 weeks, slightly I think to some people's surprise, the water supply system was turned on, and it worked.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
These are all mainly plumbing fittings, but some electrical. I'm going to go down a list of 13
At the bottom of the hill here to collect the water, and there's a stream comes through here, a sort of dell, and there's a spring with 2 iron pipes coming straight out of the cliffside there. In order to pump water from the spring up to the village, a number of different plumbing configurations were tried. Some worked better than others. You get the lift. I'm not sure exactly how far this is going to go. This is, we're going to have to lower the... It's a very awkward thing because the cliff is very steep and solid rock. So
and the other thing is they brought this piece of pipe.
I'm pouring water in the top. And it may be that the system's not holding water and it's not self-priming. Not working at all? It's not working.
No, it's got some stick inside.
Stick?
Yeah.
Ah, there's a stick caught in the foot valve. Just attempting to run the pump. Oh, we had a small splash of water coming out. The pump's running, but it's not lifting any water from down below. So
actually, it's not properly primed.
This is the construction site for the solar panel, which is being put in. Ultra high tech. They're actually using little strips of bamboo to hold the frame in while the concrete sets. It was amazing 21st century technology put in place with medieval bindings. It's quite extraordinary. This is the senior electrical engineer connecting up the panel. He's directing operations. We decided to move the middle tank of the system slightly uphill and further in a little bit. The gorge is down there and the solar array is in full sun over on the far side there. We've managed to get water right to the top of the hill. We just need to improve the landscape and everything now. So it's now cleared all around it so that it can be tilted to any angle. The little bridge that goes across, and then the first, the intermediate water tank has now been re-sited. I worked with some of the guys this morning to put it back in away from the path so that when it overflows it doesn't wash the path away. And some of the villagers have been working all morning to get the path into better state because it was very, very dangerous and slippery. So they've improved the steps quite dramatically. So we've got water right to the top. And now, a momentous moment, the tank is being raised to sit on top there, right at the centre of the village. And the pipe supplying the pump, we're now just burying it so that it doesn't get damaged. The guys are digging a trench all the way down here. We've had a problem with airlock in the pipes, but we're still trying to resolve that at the moment. The electric cables have been restrung and doubled, and Peter and John and Charles have been working on that today to double up on the electrical cable from that solar panel so we get less power loss on the way over. Still a bit of tidying up work to be done on making everything neat and the lids on the tanks, etc. But the system is now working, so it's substantially complete. This is the top tank, and they're just installing a slab to make a strong base so that the water is... The system's working, the pump's running, you can probably hear the gentle work, and it's now going up the pipe, which has now been buried, up to the top tank, so we need to check it's arriving there. JT's just gone down there to check that it turns on.
The West Kasai Hills are remote and densely forested. There are reports of a very large bovine animal romping around in the area. Some people have seen it and they call it sea prut. Well, we didn't know quite what it was. It might have been a large gar, which is a type of bison found in India, but the local people believed it to be a separate species.
Lie up there for some hours tonight and then come back into camp and have a late supper. And if we're on the move and you see anything, Mike will demonstrate. He's got a series of signals, but please don't talk. And once we get clear of the village, we should leave all the talk to the boys. If you do see anything, just point. Don't say anything. Mike, do you want to give your signal?
This is our sign for the elephant. This, I think we understand, is the trunk. And we do this for samba. We do this for barking deer. We do this for wild boar. And we do this for the big cats. Basically, these are the common ones we're going to see.
What about gore?
Gore, of course.
Reporters.
Jump. Anyway. Jump.
omelets. The water being boiled behind, the water bottles.
So maybe a good 5 feet will do. 5 feet at least.
Best thing is
Full bison car footprint on our track behind it. Elephant with deer tracks on top. Muddy River.
Try this one. Conditions here are fairly dense, so we'll keep on this track and then turn east as soon as we can. Well, we were on a stream when we called you the first time, and you were north of us then. But I think the great thing is if you stay put, don't move, because and then we'll keep listening out for your calls.
During the expedition, we sent out several patrols into the forest to see if we could find seafoot, and also some of the other animals, like the small elephants that were supposed to exist there. Indeed, we heard creatures moving around, but the forest is so dense it's very, very difficult to see anything. Nevertheless, we camped overnight in the forest and saw a few animals and heard a great many, particularly the elephants trumpeting. And this survey took us over some very tough terrain. I mean, the hills were almost vertical up and down in places, and it was quite exciting work.
We're just outside Langmar village, which is off to our right. We're on our way up to the Pendengru ridge, to a place called Chinaruk. Villagers have not always had to go up there because for their requirements they've always found them closer by. And those that have gone up there have sighted this seaprut. It's a large animal looking like the Indian bison. And right now we've got reports that there are some elephants way straight ahead up there. We'll try to skirt around them, go off from there right, up into the ridge, turn left and see what we can find.
We've reached the top of this ridge and we're breaking for lunch fairly shortly. There's this amazing scarp we just come to the edge of, which drops away, way down into a vast, deep valley. Difficult to actually get the scale of it. That is the far side of the ridge that we climbed to, and it's known by the locals as the abode of the gods because they believe that this is where their gods live. This is in the old animist religion before they became Christian, and they believe that this is the hills and valleys they go to when they die.
We've just left the West Khasi Hills, a place called Yawao. We've crossed over from that side, across the gorge. We've come over into the Garo Hills side. Now we are approaching Balpakram National Park, maybe just in time to spot a few animals before it gets dark.
Morning. Getting breakfast prepared on the hill.
Some kind of good scratch. Must be using it.
Fantastic. Did you catch what Mike Menvue was saying there? This is an elephant's mud bath. He sprayed the mud all over himself, and you see all the leaves are spattered with mud. And it allows him to dry, protects his skin. Just found a little baby monkey.
Poor little thing, he's probably asleep.
Any of you can take turn holding it, take a photograph.
Oh yes, little green snake. Mike, what is this snake, you know?
I wouldn't know this.
He looks very awake.
It is.
Bright green, his little head sticking straight up, isn't it?
Yeah.
Would he be poisonous?
I wouldn't know. I've never seen this one before.
He's what, about a foot and a half long? Something like that.
Mike,
Not very
on
big.
our search for elephant tracks.
Not somebody would want to pick up.
Cloth strip, which will make it easier and faster than a metal measure. There we've got this measurement for the front foot of an elephant calf, and it measures
34 inches.
34 inches, you double that. Twice the circumference of the front foot gives you the height of the animal at the shoulder. That makes it 68, and that's
5 foot 8.
Patrick. Josh, you're dressing with our armed guard with us just in case. Side, a lovely river. Patrick. Oh, Josh.
There were ticks and certainly plenty of leeches, and there were mosquitoes too. Not too much of a pest, but they were around.
Leech bite. The leech on the bottom of the sock. And some of the wood cut down.
Yeah, so you make the whole bar and then you grow on that.
Yeah. Dorji hasn't served you rice yet? No. Yes.
Really?
The team saw a great deal of evidence of wildlife and catalogued many of the footprints and the droppings of these animals for our report.
The spores of a fishing cat with the claws extended and retracted.
Okay.
Right.
That's your otter?
Yeah.
Common otter, lutra. And side by side we've got the fishing cat. Going that way, obviously.
There was evidence of what may prove to be these dwarf elephants, but we didn't actually see them. But we saw the footprints, which were certainly much smaller than the normal elephant's footprint that you would expect in Asia. We also found footprints of this giant bow binding, which may turn out to be sea put. But again, the animal itself eluded us.
Lady John Thackeray, Shirley, the first white people to visit the falls, discovered by John and named the Rainbow Falls. Over 700 foot cliff.
Hidden falls, and back in the pagan times, over 100 years ago, the local tribe of the Lingam area used to keep this place a secret, and anybody wandering in from other tribal areas through their area were given one warning not to come through this territory, and if they were caught the second time, they were taken to the top of the falls. This was back in the 1850s, 1860s, and literally just thrown off the top. So when I came here 5 years ago, being the first Westerner in, later on you'll see a series of rainbows catching the sun. So we simply, obviously, named it Rainbow Falls. So that's how it's known as it is today. Further to what I was saying earlier, other than me coming in here in 19
98, you are by definition alone 100% the first foreigner group ever to see these falls. This was a closely guarded secret by the locals, therefore probably back in the pagan days for religious reasons. So, congratulations for being here. Well done.
The expedition ended with the opening of the water supply system, and that was a great party. Now, the Kasai people, of course, thanked us profusely, and they sang, and they danced, and they composed poems to us, and there were many small gifts that they brought out of flowers and fruit and handicrafts, and we had very little to give in return, but we had a number of small gifts which they seemed to appreciate.
Pencils, chalk, crayons, pads, and I hope there's sufficient here to keep you going. Life isn't all work, there has to be play, and so we've also bought you some footballs and a pump to blow it all up.
Thank you.
So there you are.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Jonki Shafi Nagapunta Ki Kunlung Ni Hapbanon Chong Suk Badni Kamen Bang Sa Yashem Sashisen Khamki Paralok Bashisha.
I'm just getting the opening ceremony of the water supply organised. The villagers have done their own ceremony.
I put it on the tip.
My friends, as you know, the money to pay for this was raised by people in England and in some other countries too, and all the work has been done by you people and two very good engineers from Shillong. But I want to say what a pleasure it has been to be with you all, especially at this morning's service. And thank you once again for having us as your guests in your village. We wish you every success in the future. Kublai. Thank you.
Well done.
No clear.
You've run out, so I've got plenty.
In the middle tank, the solar panel that works it all.
Me? Yeah. Get off the bridge. Oh.
Engineers crew that put it all together.
Everybody in, that's a lovely photograph. Everyone say sausage.
Sausage.
For me as well.
Okay, forward.
This is just for them.
Hayare
It goes something like this. Goodbye our guests, goodbye to you. We may never meet again. Go in peace from our village. May God be with you. Goodbye our guests, goodbye to you. 10 days you have been in our midst. We shook hands, chatted, and we laughed. Your love to us you offered, but now suddenly this has all been snapped. It is time for you to return home, you who are the learned ones, strangers. Oh, if this could all be repeated. To Balpakram, to Chimaitham, we have guided you, to the Rainbow Falls and to our fields. We have guided you with pleasure. We share no kindred, share no land or clan, yet you give unto us blessings. We have nothing to repay you with, only our deepest love do accept. Tears of thankfulness from us shall fall every time we will remember you. At the end, we wish you to go from us in peace. Please forgive us for our shortcomings and our faults, for which we had no intentions. If they happened, they were out of our ignorance alone. As you desire, may we progress and rise. O Lord, O Creator, to you our thanks.
So we shall be thinking of you here in Riangmaw, where you'll be warm. Because where we are going, it will be very cold and wet and nothing like as nice as this. But we shall never forget the friendship and the hospitality, the kindness that you have shown to us.
And then began the long journey back to Britain. But we look back on this, of course, and we'll always remember this unique experience that we've enjoyed. And what a privilege it has been to work in this little known area with such lovely, charming people in what I can only describe as a little corner of Eden.
Goodbye, our guests, goodbye to you. Chipokiski, Kinagani, Niakublay, Drenkarbani, Yarki, Jinifella, Iwanterwa, Bangilas Yaki Kunchipara, and Dragon Beam, Shutunu, Aregapos, Sapapinlegno, Kokirin Star, Koripula, Sashisimpa, Do Aikan Wanjam. Goodbye, our guests, goodbye to you. Dongin Namlaya Shemshu, Dosale Sukashom Jongi, Ugayun Dorinka Katpi. Goodbye, our guests, goodbye to you. Shabal Pabram, Shashimaitam, Partigiya Ringkatan Yalam, Sharimobos, Vachalinka, Ialam Kaya Pidajin Selva, Adiyala, Badi Shankar, Matku Samki, Yaipokum Karnai, Alaloge, empat, undi posni, ugi chuja umma.